Hi, my name is Hannah, and today we'll be talking about the technological advancements of CGI. So, first, I'm going to talk about what is CGI. So, CGI stands for computer generated images, and it's used to create and alter any visual content. So, basically, it tweaks whatever scene is already made with the actor. It's an important and critical technique used in the film industry. Basically, CGI is used in almost everything. So it's pretty rare to see something that doesn't have CGI. It's created solely on computers and it produces images, animations, or visual effects. And it creates impossible effects in real life. So it makes the impossible possible. CGI can make someone look younger and older. It can create simulations like fire and water, create fantasy worlds, and make creatures out of humans. Some noticeable examples of CGI are Avatar, Jurassic World, and Toy Story was actually the first film that was filmed in completely CGI. Um, yeah, so that was very a big part of the CGI. So CGI from its beginning to now, it originated roughly between the 60s and 70s. Like it's debatable about when the first use of CGI was used, but it was originally used to create a human face model. It created a red yellow computer image and purposely made it look blocky. It was extremely rare and it was just it was really expensive. That's why it also wasn't used that much. And it was basic computer graphics and mostly used in black and white. And it was mostly just used for experimentals and designs, especially given the price of it. Now, in the 21st century, it's used in almost all the films, TVs, and video games as a tool to display what doesn't exist in real life. So it's really good for those fantasy like scenes. And it's seen in almost 90% of what we watch. And a lot of the time, directors use hybrid approaches, which blend digital and practical effects to make it look more realistic or more interesting. And now it's a lot cheaper and more accessible to studios due to the evolution of it.
Everyone, I'm Josie. I'm gonna do the presentation about the difference between traditional film methods and the new ones. The traditional film relied on physical materials like cellular film, real sets, and hand-built props. Everything had to be captured physically using real light and real objects in front of the camera. Editing was manual and slow because it required cutting and rearranging physical film strips. This made the process costly and required large crews. The visual effects were also limited, since filmmakers could only build scenes that were possible in real life. Digital filmmaking works very differently. Instead of film stock, filmmakers use computers. CGI allows artists to create characters, environments, and effects inside a computer through 3D modeling, digital lighting, and animation. Tools like Maya and Blender make modeling and animation much more flexible. Digital editing is also faster and non-destructive. We can undo actions, work with layers, and combine live action footage with digital elements. This shift in technology allows filmmakers to create scenes that are impossible to build physically and expand the possibility of storytelling. This is a sample about before and after from very famous movie Thor. So the top image shows how the scenes look during filming, with a simple pop in front of a blue screen. The bottom image shows the final CGI version with lighting and digital effects added. So why audience today prefer films that use CGI and special effects? modern viewers enjoy more visual excitement, and CGI allows large-scale action scenes, fantasy creatures, and digital worlds that traditional methods cannot create. CGI also looks more realistic today because of better motion capture and high-quality rendering. Another reason is accessibility. Digital films are easily shared through streaming platforms, so people can watch them anytime and anywhere. Younger audience who grew up with digital media expect fast visuals and impressive effects. Finally, CGI creates a more immersive viewing experience by allowing filmmakers to build entire digital environments. So for all, technological advancements change filmmaking from a physical process into a digital one. CGI and special effects have become important because they match modern audience tastes for speed, scale, accessibility, and immersion. So this is also a very famous and very popular CGI and special effects movie, Avatar.
Hi, I'm Liba, and I'll be presenting on the pros versus cons of CGI and special effects. So we're going to start with the pros. So for CGI, there's only a one-time cost of installing all the software and hardware that's associated with it. So it has a pretty good return on investment, you could say, because you're able to use it after you pay that one-time cost. Also, both CGI and special effects can boost efficiency by cutting down filming times, as well as fostering creativity by allowing filmmakers and as well as writers, producers, directors to experiment with different techniques and effects. Additionally, CGI is pretty low risk because it can be easily modified or redone if necessary in retrospect. So you're not really tied down to whatever your initial result is. As well as both technologies limit risks associated with doing dangerous stunts or action scenes for actors in those types of movies. And then lastly, special effects can yield really effective results since the actors will be genuinely viscerally responding to the effects created on the set as opposed to having to just act it out. And all of these factors can heighten the enjoyment and immersive experience of the viewer. Um, and one example we can see on the right is a movie that relies pretty heavily on CGI, which is Rise of the Planet of the Apes from 2011. And we can see in the picture how CGI as a technology is used to transform the actor's face into that of an ape. So definitely a very useful technology in the film industry that has a lot of pros, but also comes with a lot of cons, which we'll be getting into next. So some argue that CGI cheapens movies and can promote laziness among filmmakers, and they think this because it doesn't necessarily challenge filmmakers to bring their vision to life organically, which can be done by building and filming on real sets, whether that be at studios or on location. Instead, filmmakers kind of rely on having computer-generated technologies to bring their vision to life in retrospect, as opposed to kind of doing it while they're filming. Um, and a good example of this is the live adaptation of The Jungle Book from 2016, which we can see some pictures from on the right. And this adaptation relies pretty heavily on CGI for all of its background and like landscape shots. And the film largely takes place like in the jungle and a lot of like natural habitats like that. And a lot of people didn't like that it was so heavily CGI'd because they felt like it just kind of took away from the authenticity of the film and kind of took away from the fact that they even made a live adaptation of it in the first place, since it is adapted from an animated movie that's adapted off of a book. So a lot of people really didn't like that, and that can be applied, same sentiment can be applied to a lot of different movies, not just that one. Um, and then in terms of special effects, some of the cons that are associated with that is that it demands specific equipment, skilled professionals, and precise coordination and choreography. So it's not something that can be necessarily operated by any layman, which can make it difficult and inaccessible for new or novice filmmakers. So those are some of the both pros and cons to take into consideration when discussing these technologies.
Hello. So today I'm going to explain how technology advancements have really changed the way we see and feel different films. Technology has changed films completely, and I think have made us see them more realistic and have just made us basically feel what we're watching. So some new styles and editing that have come out. I want to start simple for now, so I'm going to talk about the camera quality. When we look at films from years ago, we could see it might be a little grainy, the footage, or just like black and white. And improved digital cameras have really allowed us to have high quality films and more dynamic range, which can make a huge difference when we're watching a movie, when we're filming a movie, and just makes the whole movie look a lot sharper. And then there's also different audio tools, digital audio workstations that were developed, and that's the what is pictured on the side here. And it basically just makes editing a lot easier and more efficient. And just instead of having to have so many buttons to press or knobs to turn, it's all computerized. And it just makes it really efficient for editors to be able to adjust the different sounds or add music to the background of films, which is another way to really just make the audience feel what they're watching and um, just create better sound for a film overall. And then there's several different editing software tools that have been developed. Pro Tools, which is a super popular one that is under the audio workstation, and then Adobe, which is another popular one, and then DaVinci Resolve. All of these are used primarily in the professional field, but could be used for just someone having fun with it too, because they're all very user friendly, and just make the whole editing process really simple, and basically is a step by step in a sense when you're working with these different editing softwares. And then some more advanced techniques that have been developed over the years. CGI has been talked about a lot on this presentation, which is computer generated imagery. And it basically makes films just more realistic, the background's more realistic, and the characters can be generalized. We see this a lot in different movies, especially with animated movies that have animals in them too. The animals have started to look so much more lifelike, and just all different types of characters that films years ago you could tell they're visibly fake, and now with CGI they just look so much more real, and we almost forget we're watching cartoons. And then green screen, which has been popular for a while now. It basically allows the actors to look like they're somewhere they're not. You could, editors can put literally anything behind these characters that are in front of the green screen, whether it's, no matter what it is, they could literally insert images, backgrounds. The backgrounds could be moving, and just really enhance the whole film. And then combining the two together, we are starting to see this more, CGI and green screen. Um, so basically, we could take CGI, I'll go back to the animal example, and make them interact with the actors using the green screen background, and then adding the computer generated backgrounds to the green screen. So it just makes movies more interesting, and these films are starting to really advance. And I think that we're only going to see them advance further in the future as technology grows.